The first thing I want to start with is just give a bit of an overview as to why Nestr exists in the first place. And then I'll move into a bit of a demo of what we have available in our tooling. And then we can just dive into any questions that might arise, and especially with such a small group, chime in at any time, right? Like I much prefer an interactive session than me giving a long monologue that might or might not be relevant. Right, so why does Nestr exist? The simplest way I generally put it is to match value-driven people doing purpose-driven work. Like that's really why we exist. And to do that well, we need to serve people to figure out what is it actually that I'm contributing to. So give an overview of the work that you're doing in the multiple contexts so you can figure out what should I dial up or what should I dial down, or perhaps what should I drop altogether, because that's really the starting pain from which Nestr was born, is our realization that most people today, if they're lucky, get to do work where they enjoy the skills, but rarely ever ask themselves, why am I doing what I'm doing? And is it contributing to something that I deeply care about or not? So we want to offer tooling to support with answering those questions. So Nestr offers a way to create the different purposes and organizations that you work for, identify that purpose, and then express that purpose through self-organization, through work. So you can figure out, is that what I should be doing? Yes or no. And on the other side, to do that well, we need to serve the organizations to self-organize so that they can get serious around delivering that purpose. And that purpose is not just a marketing statement on the wall, but that it's actually a lived experience of the entire organization, expressing that purpose as best as they can. Now, from Nestr's perspective, we don't pretend to know what the best way to self-organize is. With Nestr, we want to support any and all experimentation around self-organization and decentralization, and Sociocracy as such is one of those. We want to support all experiments and all flavors there. Today, I'll focus specifically on Sociocracy. But the way it is set up is really to serve you pick and choose the tools that work for you within Sociocracy or within the broader self-organization setup, and we want to support that. That's roughly why we exist. And one other thing I really want to highlight is that we eat our own dog food here. Like we really want to, as Nestr, as an organization ourselves, purpose is actually legally the boss, right? So purpose is our fiduciary. We serve it every day, and we continuously learn and how to do that as best as we can. And that is reflected in a whole lot of strategies on how we develop the product, how we set our pricing, and also the organizations we really want to work with as our customers and our clients. I'm happy to elaborate on that, but just want to call that out. Right, now for the product. I've got a little, well, it's not quite a scoop because I did this yesterday as well, but the Sociocracy for All conference is where we showcased a new feature we're pretty excited about. We have been building an artificial intelligence integration. We're actually really excited and simultaneously a bit frightened by artificial intelligence. So what we've been working on is really how can we use these tools that are so wonderful to support our collective purposes and values rather than actually take over, right? So we want to use these tools to further self-organization and purpose, but the boundary is purpose, and us saying, yes, these tools help us in that pursuit. And let me share my screen to show you what we've built there that we are excited about. There, sorry, I minimized my screen, so there. Let me start with this. So once you sign up for Nestr, this is what you find. Actually, there's one Sociocracy for All workspace in there already because I did this demo yesterday. That will be empty, but we ask you to get started with creating a workspace. And let me do that. Once you create that, we ask you a couple of questions. Are you setting up a collaboration for you and your peers, or are you just trying to organize some work for yourself? I'm going to continue on collaborate because that's where Sociocracy starts to shine, of course. We ask you, what is the setup of your organization? Are you a company? Are you a DAO? If you're familiar with the Web3 space, we support a couple of integrations there. Or are you a community of people? I'm going to focus on companies for now, because that serves this little demo. And then we ask you, okay, how's your decision making organized? Do you use holacracy, sociocracy, or general self-organization? Or do you just generally work with consensus-based? Obviously, I'm going to focus here on sociocracy, and this is where our new AI integration feature is starting to show up. Then you can say, do you want to create your workspace? Do you want us to help you create a starting structure for your workspace? Or do you want us to, do you want to fully create that yourself? Well, let's use the AI generation here. Now, yesterday I used the example Sociocracy for All, but since we're in quite a small group, let's see, do you have an organization you would like to see if our AI can find it and create a starting structure? Anyone here? Was it Sarah, Kara, Kade, or Arnold? You want to just call out an organization that you work with or work for, and then we see if Nestr can find it and create a structure for you. Oh, you're muted, Sarah. I can't hear you.
Mine's too small.
Okay.
Go for someone else's.
Otherwise, I can use the same example again. Kade, you want to chime in, see if we can find an organization that we can use, see if it finds it.
Yeah, I thought the same. Mine organization also too small. I don't know. Yeah, I like the sofa example.
Okay.
So
let me do that. Oh, there, Sociocracy for All. So here we ask you just give the name or the domain of your organization, and then what we'll try to do, we'll scrape the internet, we'll try to find it. So here we found Sociocracy for All that exists. There's actually two for some reason, not quite sure. We just need one. And then if you click it, we fetch the logo, the name, and then you can actually provide a purpose, or you can have this tool generate a purpose for you that we, based on the information we found, might make sense. Let's do that. Let's see what happens. And then we add the workspace, and this is kind of where the magic starts. So now what's happening is that we'll start to create the structure, a starting structure, and that won't be perfect, but it's a starting point. And why we're so excited about it is that that's usually quite a hard step if you just get started, is to, hey, what are those initial roles that you need to work with, or those initial circles, and what sort of accountabilities or purposes should be in there. And what you see, let's actually look at what the AI created. So it's building it in the background as we speak, but it did assign a purpose. It says, enabling organizations to learn, implement sociocracy, and achieve their goals. Right? This is what Nestr automatically generated based on what it found on the internet around sociocracy for all. Well, that's pretty sensible, if you ask me. And what we do right now, it's starting to create a couple of circles with roles in it. So here's a consulting circle, and it's working on a training circle. And what you see inside of it, it makes the conventional roles that we all know from sociocracy, like the delegate, the leader, facilitator, and the secretary. But it will add additional roles. And let's look at the circle that it finished here. In the consulting circle, it decided to create an educator, and an engager, and an advocate. And if you dive into there, again, we see the loading message. It actually created purposes and accountabilities for those rules as well. Now, I'm going to leave that do its thing. We're really excited about offering this level of support to people to actually create a starting structure. We're hoping to enable these features in a further rollout to actually craft proposals based on tensions that you have. Expect more of these features to starting to show up. This is available to you if you sign up for Nestr today. This is available for you to play with and try out. So I invite anyone and everyone to do that and see if your organization is there, and if not, otherwise you can totally start manually. Now I'm going to switch to another screen where I've got a little bit of a setup of an existing workspace with some more information that I'm going to use for my demo. So here, one thing that you see is that now in this setup, I have two organizations, right? So the idea that we want to support everyone to show up in all the organizations that they work in, so we can really give you insight of what is all the work on my plate across all my organizations and prioritize accordingly. I can show a little bit about how that works. What I'm going to start with right now is really dive into a sociocratic organization and what are the tools that are available. And let's use the Sociocracy for All example again. Roughly, we offer support for three main areas, right? So if you set up your organization to be sociocratic, we offer you support for capturing your agreements and your policies, doing the actual work and collaborate around it, and the communication part, where we can actually contextualize your communication around within your circle. Because what often happens is that there's a massive amount of overwhelm. So what we constantly try to do is create focus so you can do the work that is relevant for you and your roles. And the rest is transparent for you and available to review and to see. But if you don't want to go there, you can actually ignore it. And we try to give you focus on the work that is relevant for you. So for starters, that's the roles. So one thing, like this is demo data. So it's a little bit light, and what you see here, I'm the only one in this workspace. Of course, this is where you will find your peers and your colleagues to collaborate around. And initially here on the governance tab, you see all the roles that are available to you. Here I'm assigned to one of them. If I dive into one of those roles, I'll get to see the overview of what's the role name, the purpose, who fills it, potential focus areas, and what are the accountabilities that I fill here. I can maximize this view to navigate through my organization this way, see what other roles are out there. And if I'm looking for a role, I can always quickly try to find it using the search up top. Let me go back to the circle and show you a couple of the, there you can navigate at the top as well. The policy manual. So this is specifically to, I set up I think the marketing, I set up some policies. Did I set it right? Oh, excuse me. No, I am lying. Oh, there it was. Whoops, moving forward. So right, if you set up some policies within the circle, they're available in your policy manual, and there you have a quick overview of anything that might be there. Now, this is all sample data that I put in there, but whatever is relevant for you shows up here. So you have a quick overview of all the relevant policies that show up that are useful for you within your circle, for you and your peers. Now, you can view that for your specific circle or for the entire organization. And there's a quick overview of all the role fillers. Well, this circle's empty, it's right there, and I can quickly see that. And again, if you look for anything, you can always search up top. Let's do that here. Let's say I'm just actually wanting to find myself in this, and then I can quickly see, hey, I'm here, these role fillers, or the other one. I can search for a specific role, and then what it does, it quickly feeds back the roles, or here it actually finds specific accountabilities you can review. So the search is pretty powerful and allows you to always find what you are looking for. So that's really from the agreements perspective, so that's that first part, kind of got you covered, right? So, and this is where we're quite similar to other tools out there to allow you to quickly capture what those agreements are. One thing that we realized that's quite important with any form of self-organization, for that matter, is that these agreements often fall flat in the operation if the tooling doesn't actually continuously bring those agreements forward. And what happens, and this might ring true to you guys, and I'm curious to hear if it does, is that without the rules and the policies near, often consensus paralysis shows up, or informal hierarchies show up. And then the entire idea of self-organization or distributed authority kind of gets lost, except for when you're in your governance meetings. And this is really what it's all about, right? How can we make sure to create the safe spaces where we can do work in pursuit of purpose and thriving in that direction? We need to be able to rely on those agreements. And that's really why with Nestr, we're focusing on bringing those agreements to the work. So we end to your communication. And the first step is here within, and again, let me go to a marketing circle where I've got some work, where you can quickly see all the work that's on the plate of the different roles. And this too is probably quite familiar, where you just have a board available with the projects on there, and you can quickly add different projects for your own roles or different roles. One nice gimmicky that we just added recently: if you complete a project, we celebrate with you by a little bit of confetti, which makes me happy every time I get to use it. And this shows up wherever you capture any, finish any to-dos or projects. What's really powerful is the ability within those projects to actually capture any sub-projects or to-dos. So whenever you are in a project, you can quickly add some more work and keep typing and build your lists whichever way you want. Or if you want to choose within your project, actually, let's say this is a bigger project, there's some other powerful tools to transform this into a project board by simply adding a board label, and then all of a sudden it becomes a board, and I can add multiple columns here where it is whatever columns you want to use there, right? So that is, let's say that's quickly to do, doing, and I want to add another one, done. And then on those columns, of course, you can just create whatever work I'm doing. So this gets quite powerful and really allows you to set up the entire workflow to fit and match your needs. So much for the work. The other part, what I talked about, is communication, right? So capturing the work, we talked about collaboration, agreements, collaboration. The communication part is also crucial. And it's crucial to, again, to link that to our shared agreements. And that's where the feeds shows up. So every circle has their own feed, and you can see this kind of as a Slack server that is specific to or Discord, whatever it is that you're used to in your communication channels. For every circle has their own a context where you can create channels, and you can communicate all within the context of your circle. And the wonderful thing is that you can do that within your circle, but if you zoom out, if I look at the entire organization, and let's do so, and actually can choose to see everything that's happening throughout the entire organization from one place, or I can toggle, I just want to see what's happening in this circle and not be overwhelmed. And then within there, obviously, we have our different channels. And here I set some examples. You can shape that whichever way you want. here I have some examples of weekly updates and high fives. I like those examples to celebrate what your peers and your colleagues have done. Just want to check in if there's how this lands with our viewers. If you have any questions, or if this is matching a need that you have, or just curious to hear. Yes, Sarah, go for it.
I'm just thinking what we were talking about earlier about getting new tech into teams, wondering about what integrations are available with Nestr.
Yeah, so we have a couple of like sign-on integrations. So we're you can just easily sign up and log in using Google and Microsoft. And actually, MetaMask, we've got an integration with Web3 if that's relevant for you. And we're working on more integration. So we have a strong API, and we have, for example, we're actually building an integration with HoloSpirit. So if that's what you're using and you just want to utilize some of the collaboration or communication tools, wonderful. Let's do that, and we'll offer that integration, and then rely on the governance that you might have in HoloSpirit, and you can add some of the tools that Nestr offers. But there we're also constantly looking at working with our customers to figure out what are those integrations that are most relevant. And what we've been focusing on a fair bit lately is building these Web3, so these integrations with different DAOs. And that's really a subtopic that's relevant if you know what it is and it's serving you. And otherwise, I'll park that for a second. And maybe I have a counter question there. What specific integrations would be relevant for you?
Well, at the moment we're using Slack and Trello. I mean, Google Docs. Yeah. I mean, I can see a lot of similarities with those sort of systems, obviously within what all of the tools seem to offer. You know, there's obviously a lot of similarity.
Yeah, and that's really like what we are looking for in those sorts of integrations is kind of two-way. So really, what I talked about earlier is how can we bring those agreements to the operation, and then one of the challenges we find there is in those integrations with the conventional tools that are really good at what they do, and it's really hard to bring our agreements into that because they often don't have the notion of a role or a policy or anything of that. So we, yes, we want to do that, and we're going the other route as well to allow at least a minimum viable set of features to allow you to do like a Slack, like it's a Slack Lite, but it is useful and contextualized to your circle, so that you can communicate around your agreements within those agreements rather than them getting lost in your operation. The other thing that we have right now a notion of notes. That's a bit light, but we're about to release a feature where that's more like a notion where you can actually properly capture documents and share them and publish them, and again within the context of your circle or your roles. So we're constantly trying to figure out what is really serving the purpose pursuit of our customers. And that's also kind of the phase where we're at. So we're a young organization, and we're really looking for those currently early adopters that are really keen to work with us, can deal with a bit of working around some features while they're being developed, but then getting the benefit of really having an impact on what that looks like. Wonderful. Nice. Yeah, and maybe on the other side. So now I really zoomed into the specific. Oh, we're also at our time boundary, aren't we? Yes, I want to really honor that. We started here at 3:30. Yeah. So for some reason I thought we're only 15 minutes in, but that's not right. So then I also want to really honor our time boundary and thank you for your time. so that you can move on and go to the follow-up sessions. If there are any other questions, burning questions, let me know. I do quickly want to share this in the chat. I want to throw an URL out there. If you sign up with that URL, we can give you free access for 3 months. And on pricing, actually, yeah, that might be a relevant point I want to put out there. Use that URL and you can get free access for at least 3 months. The way we set up our pricing, if you're not generating any revenue, or if you're ill or not funded, you can use Nestr for free forever. The only thing we ask is that you publish your governance records so that we really support transparency, and we'll check that on every year. So is it correct that you still not have any revenue and you're not or poorly funded? We'll trust the answer, but we really believe in purpose manifestation, and that whatever resources you might have. And with that, I really want to thank you for your time. Wonderful to meet you.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, Sarah. Bye, Arnold.